Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 1831 of What You Up To Now, documenting the journey primarily as I've gone from the brick and mortar corporate world of business, at least 27 different businesses and industries prior to coming online. Since it came online, totally lost count, but lots and lots, hundreds now of different industries and businesses I have been involved in as I got divorced and was looking for something to do following the divestiture of all those businesses with my ex-husband, not all simultaneously, of course, but there were plenty. It took actually several years for us to pull everything apart and separate it and sell off assets and things. But I found myself in the position to say, okay, well, what do I want to do now? And we always have that option, but we never, most of us feel like we do. We feel like once we've gone down a path, we have to stay that path, stay the course of that plan we've set in motion. And I've had a couple opportunities in my life to absolutely positively start over, which is good and bad in and of itself. There's a lot of lessons to be learned there. So today and every day for about the last 5 or 6 years, I create a couple of pieces of content. I have missed a day here and a day there. I had COVID in the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, and so I missed Christmas Day that year. I actually missed Christmas. I don't remember ever missing a Christmas in my life, but that's one I missed. It was in 2019 because I was so sick. I really could barely get off the couch. I remember my sister delivered food to my door, rang the doorbell, and left because she was like, I don't know what's wrong with you, but I don't want it. It was before we knew that COVID was even a thing. So today for pieces of content, I'm doing an annual challenge this year. This year's annual challenge is the Get Your Goals annual challenge. Thank you, Chad Hanna, for giving me that idea and topic of what to cover this year. Every year toward the end of the year, and sometimes earlier, sometimes in the summer, I'll start thinking about next year's challenge. But this year, I knew I was going to do it, but I almost thought I was going to do a second take on the BU 365-day challenge that we did last year. And then I'm like, meh, I'm not really feeling that. So I was super excited when Chad said, hey, why don't we do something with goals? So we're doing one thing every day that helps us get what we want, helps you get what you want and me get what I want, because that's what we're all here for, right? We're here to create the life that we want, a life that we love, a life that makes the world a better place, please. Otherwise, what's the point? So today, our topic, and I wasn't going to necessarily do it this month, but I'm like, I feel the drive and the desire and the need to do it every single month, and that's share the SOAP framework. It's a framework that I'd always used, but I didn't cement it into a real thing, a real entity and a thing in and of itself until 2020 and the pandemic. So thank you, pandemic, for that. It gave voice to a process that I use all the time, and it automatically makes me get better results in my life that I wanted to share with other people. So we talked about the SOAP framework today. We talked about the S in the SOAP framework, which stands for your story or your situation. Both your current story, the first step in any process is to say, okay, what the heck's going on in my life right now? Where am I now? What's my current story? What's my current situation? And as the second half of that then is, well, what do I want it to be? Because if we don't know what we want it to be, then we just stay mired in the problem of what our current situation and dissatisfaction is with that situation or story. And the way we create a new story and get into the situation that we want is by envisioning it, planning it, thinking about it, knowing what we want. Knowing what you want is the first step to anything, right? So that creates this gap that we're going to fill over the next couple of days with the rest of the SOAP framework, the O, the A, and the P. So we talked about S in that today, and I shared a couple of stories about, the pandemic and why I started to formalize that, because the way I used to do stuff was kind of crazy, and it wasn't even an option during the pandemic. For our idiom, to kind of go along with that, I used and chose the idiom, pull out all the stops. And I said, okay, where did it come from? What does it mean? And how could you use it to build and grow and supersize your business? And I asked the question, well, what does it mean to you? Because I get on every day for over, I don't even know, 1,500 days and talk about different idioms, where they come from, what do they mean, and what do they mean to me, and how could I apply them in supersizing and growing my business. But the whole purpose of the segment is to get you thinking about what could you do with that different perspective, different thought, knowing what it means to you and to the people that you interact with. So that was the content today. Feeling a little under the weather. The whole family has a cold. And you know, when that comes, it goes in waves and goes through the whole household or through everybody you come in contact with. I think that the pandemic actually harmed us in a lot of ways, that we weren't around each other enough, and so some of our natural immunity to some of the stuff that comes around, the sniffles and the coughs and the scratchy throats, is hitting us harder, it seems like, this year even than last year, because we're shut down and locked up. And like I have said before, I think we're going to see the ripple effect on the ramifications of the pandemic and the way it was handled for, you know, not just years to come, decades to come. We'll see the impact of that, what it did to our kids and their education. I'm concerned about my granddaughter. I mean, going to school in a mask every day is, number one, bad for you because you're breathing in your own carbon dioxide all the time. Number two, the masks that they were wearing and mandating had zero effect in eliminating or stopping the COVID virus. And so, you know, being a mask manufacturer in my youth, that just, I mean, literally, I worked for 3M, Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing, and we made gas and vapor masks in the OSHA, Occupational Health and Safety Division. And the stuff that was passing as masks is just ludicrous. You know, some of the funny things people put in front of their face would actually be more effective than the masks that they were wearing. So, lesson learned. I mean, someone got with coffee filters, other people did bra cups. It was a way to add levity to a situation that was challenging and devastating for some, but definitely impacted us all. All right, that's all I've got today. If I can help you in any way, ask. Otherwise, I'm laying low and under the radar and just kind of chilling and feeling better today. Have an awesome day. I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow.